Shabbat Shalom. Welcome everyone here and everyone watching on our live stream. We're starting on page 3 with Ki Ashmera Shabbat.
Because I guard Shabbat, Ki Eshmera Shabbat, El Yishmereni, God will watch over me. Ohi le'ome'at beino uveini, will be a sign between thee and God until the end of time. Ki Eshmera Shabbat, El Yishmereni, Ki Eshmera Shabbat, El Yishmereni, Oti le'ome'at beino uveini, Oti le'ome'at beino uveini, Ki Eshmera Shabbat, El Yishmereni, Ki Eshmera Shabbat, El Yishmereni, Oti le'ome'at beino uveini, Oti le'ome'at beino uveini. Shabbat Shalom once again. So good for us to be together in this sacred space, and it's wonderful to be together with our friends who are joining us from home. Shabbat Shalom to you as well. Today is Rosh Chodesh Kislev, the first day of the Hebrew month of Kislev, which means, believe it or not, that Chanukah is right around the corner, because Chanukah, the first candle, is the 25th day of this Hebrew month of Kislev. And it also means that someone's revving their motor out there on the intersection. It also means that fall is in full swing, although it's been very mild, but it's just gorgeous outside, and I love, love, love the fall colors. I will never forget on my very first visit to Stockton, when I came in for my first in-person interview, Jerry Yeeses of blessed memory picked me up at the airport, and he drove me into town. And this was the days before the sound wall on either side of I-5, so you could look right out over the city at all the beautiful trees. And it was this time of year, and I noticed all the beautiful fall colors. I was serving a congregation. We lived in Miami Beach for 6 years, and I can promise you, they do not have fall colors in the palm trees of Miami Beach. So it was a pleasure to come and see all that beauty, and I fell in love with Stockton right away. And I look forward to it, as I'm sure many of you do, to seeing every year the beautiful fall colors. It's like a painting, the majesty and the power, the beauty that's arrayed before us. It's God took out the paintbrush and filled in the beautiful reds and yellows and golds. And don't just not notice. Please notice and add that to your blessings of gratitude, the beauty that we get to see. And now let's continue to welcome in Shabbat with Lecha Dodi on page 6 in our Siddur. Shabbat, we continue with the lighting of the candles for Shabbat. And it's a pleasure to invite forward to light the candles and to lead us in the blessing Laura Utterback and Dana Guerin, in loving memory of their mother, Mary Solomon. Page 8.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, b'tzivanu, lehadlik ner, shel
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
And our service continues now on page 9. And those who are able, I invite you to please rise for our call to worship the Baruch Hu. as we continue together on page 10 with chanting of the V'ahavta. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol me'odecha v'hayu הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאור על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים, אני אדוני Elohechem. This week's Torah portion begins with the words, Ve'ele toldot Yitzchak ben Avraham. This is the line of Isaac, the son of Abraham, indicating that the text is now going to focus on Isaac, the second of our patriarchs. And indeed, he figures prominently in the stories throughout the portion. It's a bit of an irony that in this same week that Jews around the world read this Torah portion called Toldot, we observe the 26th anniversary of the death of Yitzchak Rabin, who bore the same name as our second patriarch. Rabin was assassinated on the 4th of November in 1993. Those of us who are old enough to hold that week in our memory will acknowledge how sad those days were, for we mourn not only the tragic death of a great military leader and statesman from the state of Israel, but also the hopes for peace that he was shepherding with so much courage and perseverance. So to honor the memory of Yitzchak Rabin, I would like to share a beautiful poem written by Rabbi Michael Cohen for the Shloshim observance for Rabin in Jerusalem. He titled his poem Toldot Yitzchak as a nod to our Torah portion this week. And this is what he wrote. At the end of the day, we gently tuck a child in bed with sheets and blankets. At the end of a person's life, we gently cover their grave with the dust of the earth. Both deeds of loving kindness. And Yitzchak and Yishmael buried their father Abraham. Sometime during the night, we return to the child's room and make sure that everything is in order as we rearrange their blankets and sheets. 30 days after someone dies, we return to their grave and make sure that everything is in order as we set their gravestone in place. Over Rachel's grave, Yaakov set up a pillar. At the end of a tractate of Talmud, we read, Hadran Elecha, we shall return to you. We shall return to you. Yitzchak, the son of Nehemiah and Rosa. As we bring stones to place on your grave, stones of a silver platter from the four corners of the earth, and from those stones, let us build a tower of peace that will be a beacon to us, a pillar of fire in front of the camp, an eternal light to show us the way. To you, Yitzchak Rabin, we shall return as we complete the chronicle, Ve'ela Toldot Yitzchak. And I add, may his memory forever be a blessing. And may the search for a lasting and secure peace continue and be realized speedily and in our time. Amen.
Amen. Continue with the Micha Mocha on page 11. Continue on page 13 with Vishamru.
Those who are able, we invite you to please rise as we continue at the bottom of page 13 in chanting the Amidah. Adonai, Sifatai Tifta, Ufia, Gita Hilatecha, Eternal God, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei Rachel, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Ve'zocher Chastei Avot ve'imahot, U'mevi geula livnei b'neihem, Le'ma'an shemo be'ahava. Melech Ozer u'Moshiach u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, ve'ezrat Sarah.
Atagi bor
Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol, Atarav lehoshia, Mechakel chayim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Tzomech noflim verofech olim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato lishanei afar, Michamocha ba'gevurot, Umido melech, Melech meimid umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman nata lehachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, U'kadoshim b'chol yom, Yehallelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el hakadosh. Please be seated.
Page 16. Shalom Rav
Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam.
Shalom Rav
Shalom Yisrael, Tasim Leolam.
Shalom Racha.
Let us take a few quiet moments now to turn inward to our own hearts and to our own minds. Maybe see in your mind's eye those beautiful fall colors I mentioned at the beginning of the service. And find a moment of peace to meditate and to pray in your own way, to give thanks for the many blessings, even amidst turmoil and pain, the many blessings that still fill our lives. Tfilat Halev, the prayer of the heart.
Baruch atah Adonai, haparei sukkot shalom, shalom aleinu ve'alkol amo Yisrael.
Thank you, Lindy, and thank you to Beth for that beautiful Shabbat gift. I know it takes my soul to the right place and helps me to enter Shabbat with the right feeling, the right spirit, the right frame of mind. Poor Esau. The twin brother of our patriarch Jacob is portrayed as such a buffoon. He's the red-haired Neanderthal hunter, a foil to Jacob, the mild, bookish mama boy. And proof positive of Esau's stupidity is the story found in this week's Torah portion of how he is duped into selling his birthright to Jacob over a bowl of lentil stew. Let's take a closer look at that story. Esau is out presumably hunting in the fields, as he often did, and Jacob is home making a stew. Esau comes home and says, "Give me some of that red stuff to gulp down, for I am famished." And Jacob responds, "Okay, first sell me your birthright." Esau says, "I'm at the point of death. So what use is my birthright to me?" And Jacob says, "Swear to it," and then gives him the stew. And just like that, Esau gives up his birthright. At this point, most rabbinic commentators harshly criticize Esau for spurning his birthright over a bowl of stew. They note that his gulping down is a sign of how uncouth and barbaric he is. But what if it were a sign of how truly hungry he was? What if Esau really was starving to death? What if he had been out hunting for several days and had come back completely empty-handed? Wouldn't it be understandable that the only thought he might have in that moment is getting some food? Feeling famished, I believe, can lead to some rash, short-sighted decisions like giving up a birthright. Fortunately, most of us in this room and those participating from home do not really know the desperation you feel when famished beyond your mind. But millions in our country do feel this hunger and food insecurity every day. Some of the very hungriest in our country, over 45 million people, are helped by the SNAP program, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also known as food stamps. The number of people on food stamps rose by 70% between 2007 and 2011, driven primarily by the weak economy and massive unemployment. Last April, in response to the ongoing burden of COVID-19 that disproportionately, I hope you know, affects the poor, the U.S. Department of Agriculture took action to provide $1 billion per month in additional food assistance to an estimated 25 million people in very low-income households, 75% of which have children, seniors, and disabled citizens. Approximately 20% of children in America live in perpetual poverty and live on food stamps for many years. But many more just turn to food stamps during a short-term crisis. I was astonished to read a recent study by the American Medical Association that 49% of children in the United States will eat meals at some point during their childhood paid for by food stamps. In other words, half of America's children at some point live on the edge of hunger and poverty. This should be a wake-up call. A recent UNICEF report found the U.S. had the second highest rate of childhood poverty among the 35 richest nations surveyed, behind only Latvia. It's hard to believe, that this is happening right here in the United States of America, in the richest nation in the world. Children going hungry. And yet, even given the tremendous need, the SNAP program has been targeted time and again for financial cuts that threaten this last safety net for the 16 million children who, through no fault of their own, are still hungry. But these cuts really are not good policy, because every dollar spent in food supplements actually saves our country $1.81 in subsequent health care, decreased productivity, illness, and other issues related to poor nutrition. And just think of the bad decision that Esau made when he was hungry. We can only expect that people can start coming out of their desperate situations if they can make decisions with a little food in their bellies. In biblical times, not everyone is born with equal birthright. Esau was entitled, in fact, to a double portion. He was going to inherit his father's wealth just because he was the firstborn. And unfortunately, it seems that even today, not everyone is born with an equal birthright. Some people are born into lives of security and abundance, with all the opportunities of growth and education of mind and body, and some are born into communities of poverty, in which their underperforming schools and their empty bellies make it very hard to grow or thrive. But shouldn't every child be given the same spiritual birthright, with equal opportunities to grow, to be nourished and loved and supported, with the possibility of fulfilling their full potential in the world? In our Torah portion tonight, Jacob turns the birthright order on its head, even though we don't like the way he did it. It's a radical statement that we should not accept this inequality of birthright. 3 weeks from now, we are going to sit down for our Thanksgiving meals of abundance and bounty, and I know I'm going to feel grateful for it. But can we take a moment to appreciate that our abundance is not shared by all? In our tradition, we are supposed to sensitize ourselves to the pain of others, to imagine walking in someone else's shoes who is not as blessed or fortunate, to shift our sensitivity, our mindset, our understanding. That's one of the reasons that we fast on Yom Kippur. It's why at Passover we don't just say our ancestors were slaves, we say that we are slaves, and we eat the bitterness and we taste the tears. We experience a piece of that hardship ourselves, if only symbolically. So what can we do about hunger in our country? Well, many things, for sure. For those who might be ready for a startling, eye-opening experience, you might start by taking the SNAP challenge and try living for just 1 week on a SNAP budget. The hunger relief organization Food Share proposes a budget of $4.15 per person per day, which is the average daily allowance for SNAP beneficiaries. That's $4.15 for all 3 meals and for whatever snacks you might desire. And you can forget that Starbucks coffee if that's one of your indulgences, because for that 1 cup of coffee, you would evaporate your food budget for the entire day. But that's the fate of SNAP recipients. It is not a feast. We are providing merely a subsistence diet. I'm not saying we should all do this, but I invite you to imagine how difficult it would be, how difficult it is for those whose fate, so many through misfortune and no fault of their own, it is to live like that in poverty. Every year here at Temple Israel, we do what we call a mini mitzvah day, and we ask our congregants to bring turkeys or supplies of bulk foods, potatoes or rice or other non-perishables that we donate to St. Mary's Dining Room right here in Stockton. Every day, 365 days a year, St. Mary's, on whose board of directors I sit, feeds over 750 individuals who face food insecurity. They also have both a medical and dental clinic, a clothing bank, and they offer social services, all free of charge to their many clients who we prefer to call as guests, as an act of uplifting their basic humanity. Our Mitzvah Day collection this year will go into full gear on Sunday, November the 21st, and we hope that everyone who can will participate. For those who have kids at home, I encourage you to include them when you go shopping and when you come to donate the food so that they can appreciate how important this mitzvah is. And while you do it, I encourage you to talk with them about it so that they will understand the importance and so that they will hopefully appreciate the abundance of the homes in which they live. I also encourage you to get involved in the months ahead with Family Promise of San Joaquin, a multi-faith cooperative of local congregations, including Temple Israel. We are involved up to here. Jonathan Jacoby is the president of the board, and Lindy is very active, and Kathy Meyer as well. And what's his name? Jory Gwozdov is the newly appointed executive director, and we're proud of all of them and the important work they're doing. Family Promise gives temporary shelter to homeless families, and it provides them the social services they need to find employment and permanent housing and a road back to lives of dignity. So many of these families, for sure, know what it is to live with hunger, to live with food insecurity, and they will be nourished in more ways than one by all our efforts. As we go into a holiday of gratitude this Thanksgiving, followed by Hanukkah, we go from turkeys to latkes, maybe on the same night for some families. May we be reminded that this abundance is not shared by all. So let us work to create an equal birthright for every child of God with the opportunities to bring blessing into our world. Ken Yehi Ratzon. May it be God's will. Amen.
I just want to say how important it is. Sometimes we think, oh, I can't do it this year, or I didn't get to the store, or whatever. What a difference every one of us makes. Just want to remind you that last year, St. Mary's, Jason was told that at St. Mary's, just before Thanksgiving, they were very low and did not think they were going to have enough turkeys to feed all of their guests that year. And all of a sudden, I think it was Jay's truck, showed up with, I don't know, we had like 25,
Oh, I think we did.
40 turkeys, I don't know,
Amazing
something
job.
crazy, with turkeys and all the fixings. And they cried, literally, because that was going to be Thanksgiving.
Temple Israel saved the day, and let's do it again this year.
Yeah.
They're struggling because donations are down because of the pandemic, so we need to make up that difference if we can.
And we're on page
Mishabera.
23.
Each Shabbat we say a special prayer for healing for friends and family who need all our help and whatever strength we can bring to them with our phone calls and our visits, with meals that we bring, and with our prayers for a refuah shlema, for a full and speedy healing. This week we are thinking especially of Casey Campbell Shadman, Gail Weiss, Diane Dakin, Randy Watkins, Gabriel Lopez Smith, Rebecca Williams, Philip Blair, Victor Altman, Susie Kritzer, Rose Machado, Phyllis Klein, Larry Goldman, Evelyn Young, John Kaplan, Michael Abramson, Ben Lowy, and Elizabeth and Jamie. And I invite anyone here who would like to add names to our Misha Barak to please say their name out loud. And those of you at home who would like to add a few names, we invite you to send them in the chat. And let us join together in our Misha Barak.
To those named Zachary Reiger, Julia Raposa, Abby Kenyon.
And we add to all those names mentioned aloud those of us here who are in need of these same blessings, for refuat hanefesh and refuat haguf, for healing of mind and body and spirit. Baruch atah Adonai rofeh hacholim, blessed are you, O God, who heals the sick.
Amen.
Amen.
Continue with a prayer for our country and the state of Israel.
Guardian of life and liberty, grant blessings to our country. Grant our leaders patience and wisdom. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and may we never be lazy in the work of peace. Eternal God, grant blessings to the state of Israel. Protect her people, shelter them with peace, and grant them deliverance from the violence that surrounds them. May they live in harmony with one another and with their neighbors. May the bonds of faith and faith that unite the Jews of all lands be a source of strength and blessing to each of us and to all the world. And let us say, Amen.
Continue on page 25.
It's up to us to call ourselves to task, to sing what's good and true. to bring about redemption. It's what we were free to do. What's the point of being here if we're not moved to change our ways? Alleluia Shabbat. It's time to live our praise. We are carrying the stories of the ones who came before. What stories will be told of us when we are here no more? We commit ourselves to action. It brings meaning to our days. Alleluia Shabbat. It's time to live our praise. It's up to us to own the vision. We are an answer to the call. It's up to us to live the words we speak for the benefit of all. It's up to us to bow down deeply. There's a broken world to raise. Alleluia Shabbat. It's time to live our praise. Alleluia Shabbat. It's time to live our praise. Alleluia Shabbat. משפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר וחיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו At the end of each of our services, we take a quiet and reverent moment to pay homage to our loved ones who are no longer with us physically, but whom we carry in our hearts and minds, and in a very real way, they continue to bless and carry us. We say, Yizkor Elohim. May God remember Jay Pritzer, remembered by his niece, Tara Spagnola. If there's anyone praying from home who is in Shloshim, the first 30 days of mourning, or in Shana, the first year after losing a loved one, or if you have a yahrzeit tonight, I invite you to share your loved one's name in the chat now so that we might bring their name into this holy space. If there's anyone in the sanctuary who has lost a loved one in the last 30 days or in the last year, I invite you now to stand and share your loved one's name with us now.
Herm Lewin and Joey Robinow.
This week we remember these loved ones whose yahrzeit, the anniversary of their passing, falls in the week ahead. We remember with love Esther Korn, Marilyn Rich, Ann Friedman, Abby Sue Lipkin, Patricia Ventura, Oded Rainan, Isidore Grayson, Harry Slicker, Leonore Crane, Mary Solomon, Ralph Gannon, Joseph David Englander, Dolores Feltman Evnen, Hilda Hazan Messenger, William Ballin, Mort Lindner, Esther Weinstein, and Alice Horn. Is there anyone else who's observing Yortzeit? Zichronam Livracha. May the memory of all these precious loved ones be for a blessing and a never-ending source of strength. And we remember those who perished of COVID-19, and we wish their families strength, as we remember as well the 6 million who perished in the Holocaust, leaving no one to remember them. So we take them into our hearts along with the memory of our own loved ones who have died, as we rise now and join together on page 26 in Mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'yalma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayachon u'v'yomechon, u'v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv imru amen. Yehei shemei rabbah mivarach le'olam ulomei omayan. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha barichu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Ta'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all the bereaved among us. And we say, amen. Please be seated.
Thank you to Dick Solomon for donating the Bima flowers in loving memory of his wife, Mary. Ari, do you want to show the flowers? Not everyone can see them. Let's see the flowers. Beautiful. Thank you, Dick. And thank you to Ari for keeping us alive on live stream. Happy 50th anniversary to Arlene and Sheldon Barr. 50 years. Pretty amazing. Mazel tov to you, Arlene and Sheldon. And happy birthday to Ken Abala, Sam Goldman, and Annie S. Forms. Temple Israel has 2 walking groups. Meet Dave Sorgent in the parking lot at Groupie Park on Saturdays, or meet Maddie Colber in Lodi at 4 to 45 on Thursdays. Thanksgiving and Hanukkah are just a few weeks away, as you heard, so check your Wednesday email for details of how you can help contribute and help other people. If you need Hanukkah candles, menorahs, decorations, gifts, games, etc., the Judaica shop is open Sundays from 9 to 1 and Wednesdays from 4 to 6.
Gifts, games, and guilt.
Gifts, games, and guilt. Hanukkah begins the Sunday of Thanksgiving weekend, so the Sunday before, as Jason said, is your day to bring food, and also the last day to shop for Hanukkah. Jason and I and our family would like to invite you, our Temple family, to join us in person or on live stream 2 weeks from now for an Ufruf ceremony during our Shabbat service. It's November 19th at 7:30 p.m. And this is where we will invite our son Seth and his fiancée Amanda up onto the bima to receive a blessing on the Shabbat before their wedding. And in the non-COVID times, we would have invited you all to have oneg with us on that Friday night. Unfortunately, we can't do that, but we would love to see as many of you, both again here in person or on live stream, to join in our simcha.
Help us get a few happy tears out ahead of time so we can get through the ceremony.
Oh my, that's a problem. We close this evening's service with Od Yavo on page 27.
Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Ve'amulam. Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ve'hamdullah. Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ve'hamdullah. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam, salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam. Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ve'hamdullah.
I also want to thank tremendously Beth Sanders for adding so much beautiful music to our service.
Thank you, Beth. Well, so wonderful to have you here tonight.
It was wonderful. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom to all our friends at home. Have a wonderful Shabbat and a wonderful weekend and a safe week ahead.
And Shabbat to all of you. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat to everyone.